Hello Vivid Earth Tribe, how you all doing? I wanted to give you a quick update today, a weekly world update. I know I didn't do it earlier this week, but rather late than never. Sure, a lot going on, and also some deadly silence at the same time, again, because things are very strategic that's happening right now. But I wanted to give you an update on a few crucial things today that I think is important to know. I also just want to give you a heads up. I'm going to bring a very, very crucial and exciting topic to the fore once I've done more research and perhaps gotten some partners on board to explore this. It's basically got to do with natural law and how you can remove yourself from the fake legal system that they've basically employed and put in charge of us, that none of us have really agreed to, firstly, and secondly, systems put in place purposefully to control us and to milk us basically for everything we have. So there are a lot of credible people, specifically in the US at this point, that have gone down this road of claiming their sovereignty back, claiming themselves as a natural person, and getting out of things like debt, driving around without having to carry a driver's license. So I know it sounds too good to be true, but if you know anything about the straw man, then I think you will find this topic extremely interesting. More on this to come. This is, for me, one of the most important things right now to ensure our future freedom. I do think eventually all of this will fall away, but I think it's going to be a few years. So I don't think we want to wait that long, and I don't think we need to. We don't need to comply over, two public servants that are there to serve us. That's the meaning of the name, right? Public servants. They're there to serve us, not to rule us. They work for us. We pay their salaries. And so this is going to be a very interesting topic, and I just wanted to give you a heads up. I'm hoping over the next couple of days and weeks to bring you much more information on this, and perhaps even a webinar, how we can claim our sovereignty and our freedom, and just reclaim ourselves as people of this earth that have rights. We live under natural law, and that's what we need to claim back. Enough of this nonsense. I am so angry. I have heard of this for a couple of weeks now, but last night I was watching something by Anne van der Steel, who have gone down this rabbit hole. I think she's the chairperson the chairperson of the board for the Zelenko Foundation. I've listened to another very interesting guy. His name is Isaac Mars, a young guy, but wow, the downloads that this guy received, wise beyond his years. I'm hoping to interview him on this channel soon as well. Those are the two people that have really, for me, brought next level information on this topic, as I have been exploring it for a couple of weeks now. And I'm very excited about what they've brought forward, and I want to bring more information forward and create practical solutions on how we can overcome this tyranny and this slavery system, quite frankly, that we did not consent to. So yeah, more on that in the future, hopefully not too distant future. So what I want to give you now is just a little bit of a weekly update. It might be a little bit long, so I'll just go over the topics, and I'm going to read some of the updates. Some of the updates come directly from the 17th letter of the alphabet. Those of you know what that is. We can't name it because it's heavily censored, shall we say. So I'm just going to call it the 17th basically letter of the alphabet. Even that may be censored, to be honest, but we'll take our chances at this point because the information needs to get out. So the topics that I'm going to discuss today is just some I almost said it, updates from the letter 17 for the days and weeks to come. A little bit about the world event game theory that's underway. I'm going to touch on 9/11, connecting some of the dots and why I think all will be revealed soon, or the truth will be revealed soon. I'm going to touch on the end of fiat money. I'm going to do a little bit of a Gesara update for you, Nesara, Gesara. I know a lot of people are very, very keen to get updates on this, so I'll share a little bit of information that will hopefully be helpful. I'm also going to touch on war is money, and then on a positive note, proof that the rebuilding of New Earth is underway. And then just ending with a little bit of a heads up and a warning related to 5G and the first week of September. So let's kick off. Some updates on Q. So apparently there's going to be a lot of chaos in Europe in the coming days, if not even this weekend. I haven't heard anything yet, but who knows. There's going to be riots breaking out, specifically starting in France, and then followed by Italy, Germany, UK, spreading over to the US, Canada, even South America, Middle East, and Greece. So this winter in Europe and the northern part of the world is going to be on fire. And it's all about, people are saying, why don't they just reveal the truth? Well, people don't want to listen to the truth because they've been heavily brainwashed. This media machine that have been controlling the narrative for decades, if not centuries. So it's a hard thing to undo. You don't just tell people and they're like, oh, okay, like now we know and now we move on. People just firstly won't believe it. Secondly, if they do believe it, they'll be so shocked. There'll be chaos. So it has to be done very strategically. I want to emphasize that a lot of people are losing hope, and they shouldn't, because it is a worldwide operation, military operation, happening in every single country. So complex, you cannot even fathom it. So I know this letter of the alphabet always says trust the plan, but it really is, it's for people not to lose hope. It's not hopium. It's just for people not to lose hope. It doesn't mean that we have to sit around and do nothing during this time, but it does tell us to not lose hope, not be divided, to stand together in our sovereignty, all the good people of this earth, and do our part and do our bit. So that's what I'm partly here to do, and I'm hoping you will join me on this quest, so we can free this earth. It's a incredible, extraordinary time that we live in right now. People don't realize, but they're going to look back at this and think, wow, how did I not see all this coming? And if only I listened to so-and-so, Anina, my friends and family, whoever the awakened among us is. And, from what I can see, there's only about 1 or 2 per family. And maybe that's purposefully so we can kind of spread the message and spread the word throughout the earth. There is talk about the 144,000 being the sort of, shall we say, the enlightened ones that are going to lead the rest of the earth. And I think there's really a lot of truth in that. And I really think that all the higher vibrational awakened souls around the earth could be 144,000. Never mind that it's a very symbolic number as well. That's besides the point. Anyway, so as this letter of the alphabet always says, sometimes you can't tell the public, you have to show them. So unfortunately, this is where we're at. However, we're on the eye of the storm. It may get a little bit worse, but it is going to be better very soon. And that's really the good news, because New Earth is waiting for us around the corner. We just have to stay on the path, stay focused, do our bit, and not lose hope, and continue. It's all about belief, and it's all about manifestation, about manifesting this positive timeline. This is really the storm of the century. I'd say the biggest storm ever on earth, if you ask me, but that's just me. So, obviously the center of the storm is really in the US, where a lot of the deep state cabal activities have been taking place, and right now it's all about re-establishing the Republic 1770 6 basically, because yeah, somewhere along the line a corporation was established that took over and hijacked the US and all of its people, enslaved all of its people, and that's where all the nonsense started. So that it's all about re-establishing the republic. So everything will be connecting in one way or another as I move along the topics. In terms of 9/11, I don't know if you guys knew, I'm going to read some of the stuff that, you know, I don't want to get it wrong. This is not my message. This is the intel that I've picked up from that letter and other highly trusted truthers in the community. But basically, just before 9/11, the event, Rumsfeld stated and said that $2.3 trillion were missing and couldn't be accounted for in the US budget. Can you believe that? $2.3 trillion was missing. That was on the 10th of September 2001. Hours later, 9/11 happened, and the Pentagon was supposedly hit by an airplane. This is the most secure place in the world. So one would imagine that it is actually well protected, no? Protected against any potential plane crashes or anything of the sorts. But not one video proves that there was a plane that crashed into the Pentagon. Did you know that? Not one. Over 22,000 video cameras are around the Pentagon, in and outside, monitoring the building, but not one video of an airplane crashing into the Pentagon was shown. I don't know if you knew that, but I actually didn't know that, and I was astounded. I mean, I've known for quite a while now that 9/11 was a hoax. Not a hoax, but some very dark plan. But I didn't know all of the details, and this certainly is super interesting. So the Pentagon was attacked on the part of the building that contained all of the data and servers that was tracking and recording the missing $2.3 trillion. You guessed it. And that all of that was destroyed. Is that coincident? I think not. Isn't it amazing that that's the only part of the Pentagon that was destroyed? I mean, really? It can't get any more coincidental than that. And 2 days later, the Bush administration had $2.5 trillion to start a war. Hello? Hello, wakey wakey. And attacked the wrong country, because it was never because of that country that 9/11 happened. It was only blamed on them, unfortunately. So the terrorists weren't even from Iraq. They knew bin Laden wasn't there. Months later, after the invasion of Iraq, Bush owned the Iraq oil fields with a company called Halliburton. This is a company that his father and his family invested in. You can't make this shit up, guys. I mean, why has no one connected these dots yet? I mean, it's incredible. So, the bottom line is, never forget that 9/11 was an inside job. Never forget that the jab was an inside job. The continuation of that evil plan. It is all connected. It's all part of the plan. And as we wake up around the world and as we raise our frequency, they are putting out all the stops now. I mean, we are in the end game. So expect a lot of chaos. I think we've already secured the positive timeline. However, don't rest on your laurels, and be alert and beware. I'm not saying you have to be negative. No fear. Absolutely no fear. But just be prepared. That's all I'm saying. We are right now in the hardest part of this strategic plan, where everything is intensifying and growing quickly on both sides of this war. It's like a head-on collision you're witnessing. The extreme mental pain that is being felt will intensify. The jabs will change from experimental to mandatory. Yeah, they're still pushing this stuff. I mean, how? I don't know. Because now all the fraud and corruption is being revealed. Pfizer's being sued. I mean, there's so much. Fauci's resigned and, you know, probably going to be taken, you know, sued as well very soon. But please, just tell your friends and family, those that are still asleep, at any and all costs, don't get any booster thingies. Please, no more. If they did it because of fear and they didn't want to lose their job, or they don't want to affect their elderlies, family, then please just tell them not to get anything more. No more, please. At the end of the day, we have to practice free will. That's the only way that we can ensure our sovereignty. It's all about consent, and accepting it is implied consent. That's what people don't know. That is implied consent. You gave consent. You signed the form to give consent, to say, I will put this in my arm and carry the consequences. So, you know, a lot of people had the first one and now already have been quite angry with things coming out, which is good. So a lot of people are waking up, but they're still pushing the updates and the boostery things, you know, in order to regain freedom. They know it was all a lie. And these companies are coming after the kids who are also told to take the boostery things. All of the lies are slowly but surely coming out, but they are in the end game now. Their plans already failed as far as this little part of the strategy is, but they're still pushing it because they've invested so much in it, and it hasn't quite transpired the way they wanted it to. However, there is still, you know, a lot of risk around. So, you know, the narrative is changing monthly, and the sleeping sheep are beginning to see the lies more and more, slowly but surely. You don't see the data, but the rage is growing. So many jabbed people are growing angry and concerned that they are part of this agenda, and they are beginning slowly to seek outside information from the mainstream. Hooray! I mean, CNN, honestly, who's still watching CNN? Never mind, they're already bankrupt. Newsweek, mainstream media, all of it, CBS, like literally all of it. Any big media house that you know of that is owned by a bigger corporation, pretty much owned by, you know who, BlackRock, Vanguard. Those are the guys that own the world, aka Rothschilds, Rockefellers. So there you know. So yeah, as I said, people are losing a little bit of hope, and they're getting angry and anxious and frustrated, but they shouldn't. So yeah, information is being leaked everywhere, exposing the truth and the corruption of the scamdemic. Yes, that's what it is. And people want to see results instantly, and unfortunately it's not going to happen this way because there's still a lot of sleepers asleep. So things have to be revealed slowly. We have to help those who we can. Those who we can't, just accept that that's part of their life contract. Don't be alarmed. You will see them again in another incarnation, or, you know, everyone had decided what they were going to submit to in this life, what the role was that they were going to play in this incarnation. But I just know I'm exercising my free will, and I'm definitely not going to go down with all of that. So this is basically the world event game theory. That's all I want to say about that, other than be strong, have faith, keep sharing the information. There are still many sheep waking up, and we must continue to help them with compassion and yeah, lots of love their way. They, you know, it's not easy. We know the military cannot step in just yet. We need more people to turn against the system, this whole deep state cabal. It is slowly but surely happening. More people are getting on board. All the lies that the CDC, the WHO, the NIH, Gavi, Pfizer, WF, Facebook, all the social media channels and mainstream media, despite all of that, people are waking up. So stay vigilant. A little bit more on, it's going to touch on 9/11 and the Great Awakening, and some of the sovereignty that I mentioned, this claiming our sovereignty and our natural bodies and identities back, because we are not our birth certificates. We are natural, organic people of this earth who have a right to live here in peace, in harmony, free from any tyranny, oppression. So, to understand the scale of this Great Awakening and the New World Order, and you have to look at things like maritime law, birth certificates, the Fed, the Crown, the Vatican, 9/11, quantum grammar, the real meaning of this letter 17. All of that is very important, especially for the American history and what's happening right now. So the Act of England that happened in 1871, where this corporation was established that was going to rule the US. All of that is going to be reversed soon. And as I said before, there is a corporation that is established, but that's not the actual country. The United States is different from the United States of America. Did you know that? The Constitution of the USA formed in 1776 and the Constitution of the US in 1871. Those are two different things. So the one is a corporation, the other isn't. You are, if you live in the US, you have a right to live there and to claim your sovereignty, your freedom, and your land, and your property. That's yours. All of that is going to be revealed soon. So basically, all citizens are covered under corporate law. All corporations must have a president, a vice president, a secretary, a treasury. Hence, the USA Inc. Incorporated, formed in the Act of 1871. A US citizen is an employee of US Inc. Did you know that? So your birth certificate is basically owned by them. And yeah, I'm going to explain more of that. It's quite technical. I want to get it right, but I just wanted to plant the seed. So basically, Rome once ruled the world. Caesar once ruled from the hill. Washington, D.C., Capitol Hill, the new Rome, as Washington, D.C. is the new Rome or empire. Take a look at a picture of St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican Square. It looks just like the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. There's also an Egyptian obelisk in front of it, just like the Washington Monument in D.C. Did you actually know that? So basically, when you set up a corporation, you must have three things. As I said, president, vice president, secretary, treasurer. Just like the US, the United States actually has. So the US is a corporation, a privately owned company that has nothing to do with the United States of America. The United States of America, the Republic, was founded in 1776. And the United States, the corporation, was formed in 1876. So but basically, this is not limited to the US. This is pretty much every single country around the world. I mean, I live in South Africa, and similar thing. Also, a corporation was established somewhere in, I think it was late 1900 or 1800s. Same thing, and we were basically ruled by the Crown, which is basically owned by the Rothschilds. So the Rothschilds own everyone. All of the central banks around the world, all of the governments they have in their pocket. They not only suck us dry from all of our rich resources, but they also basically enslave us. And we work for them, we pay taxes, and we have to abide by the rules. Well, they collect all the money. So I am extremely angry about this. I'm going to be working on some ways that we can free ourselves, because I ain't even waiting 3-4 years. That's too long for me. So yeah, so as I said, a US citizen is an employee of the United States corporation, which is a business. The word citizen means employee. Did you know that? According to the laws of the United States corporation. Washington, D.C. is a foreign corporation and not a state. It's not a part of America and has nothing to do with the 50 states at all. It is where the foreign US corporation is headquartered with its own laws. Who knew that? Not many people. No, I didn't know that until recently. So there are two US constitutions. So basically there was an assault on sovereignty that happened in 1871. So it's basically designed to destabilize, impoverish, and enslave. Assaults on sovereignty are indeed assaults on the very freedom that anchors the Western ideal. Secretary Pompeo. So I don't want to dive too much into this. I think some of you are already aware. I can bring more information forward on this, but I think it gets very technical. I think enough said. We all know what that means. I want to talk about the end of fiat money. For those who don't know, you know, the fiat dollar, which is basically paper money, which is worthless. There's no real commodity linked to it. No actual what is the word? Yeah, basically like gold and silver. It's not backed by anything. It's paper money. So basically, without the release of Tesla tech and other means, zero oil, zero economy. So, you know, more than 100 years ago, we had free energy. We did not need to have oil. We did not need to have cars with fuel. And we did not need to pay for electricity. Yet that's what they did, because it's part of their plan. It's part of their money-making scheme, guys. All of that Tesla technology, there was more than something like 6,000 patents were swept under the rug, and he was basically murdered. So, but all of this is going to come out, which is super exciting. All that incredible technology, which they say is basically not even from Earth, it comes off planet. He was definitely, you know, kind of sent here from either the future or another planet. But all of that tech is going to be revealed soon, and that is so super exciting. So basically, just to go back to the paper money, so Kissinger essentially said, hey, we have this worthless paper not backed by anything, so we'll offer you guys a military protection, the most advanced at the time, in exchange for you making every nation pay for your oil in US dollars. So that's where the fiat dollar came from. It's backed by, it's the fact that it's the official currency in which oil is traded around the world. That's basically what kind of propped up the dollar, if you want, to be such a strong currency today. So therefore, the petrodollar was born and became the world reserve currency. But now Saudi is gearing towards backing the oil instead of a gold-backed currency, the Chinese yuan. China and Russia made a deal a while back. Russia's oil for the Chinese yuan. Remember that the Rothschilds did what they did to Romanov and Rasputin for rejecting their central bank? Yeah, it's also linked to those buggers. So you can see now why they want us to fear Putin. Don't just follow the money, follow the gold specifically. 9/11 was a gold heist. The World Trade Center, there was lots of gold in there. That's the other thing. It's all connected, guys, in a much bigger way than we ever realized. The two biggest suppliers of oil, Saudi and Russia, are both looking at being gold-backed. I think they already are, meaning if any nation wants an economy, they'll need, any nation wants to buy their oil, they'll need to use a gold-backed currency to get it, to run the economy, at least until 0 point clean energy tech is fully disclosed. Therefore, a global gold standard is imminent, and no matter where you go, gold is gold, implying a full currency reset back to a 1-to-1 exchange rate globally. Isn't that exciting? Lots of chaos before that's happening, but it's very exciting. Meaning those Zimbabwean notes that have been hyperinflated, let's say the $1 trillion Zim note, which you all know is currently not worth much, will be worth a lot. And I've heard a lot of people buying up these $1 trillion notes, which is super interesting. an unfathomable amount, along with the Iraqi dinar, Russian ruble, and other currencies. As the Bible once said, the meek shall inherit the earth. Isn't that interesting? So third world countries are only poor because they have the most riches and have been oppressed, pillaged, plundered, and stripped of them by the Gesarian, Roman, British Empire's dominance that has created a system of usury which in modern times hinges on the US dollar existing. Whew, guys, we're living in extraordinary times. There are humanitarian trusts that have been hoarded for longer than we'd ever guess. Birth bonds back them. Basically strawman bonds, what I've spoken about before. Claiming our sovereignty back is all about claiming back our birth bonds. Basically our strawman bonds that have been put in place the day that we were born and got our birth certificate. The Lucis Trust, Saint Germain Trust, and the Cestui Que Trust from Rome. So there are predictions that with Gesara and Nesara, those of you already know this, I'm saying this for the purpose of those who don't, will be redistributed back to the world's population after the global currency reset takes place. Isn't that exciting, guys? Because basically our governments own our birth certificate, which means it's basically when your birth certificate is issued in all caps, you basically, that becomes a property of the state. But that's not you, right? It's your birth certificate. It's not actually you. That's just a piece of paper that represents. Apologies, guys. I keep being interrupted because I'm out of storage again. So it cuts the video. So I have some serious house cleaning to do. But to go back onto the birth bonds, I'm going to do another episode on that because it's quite a deep topic to dive into. But I just wanted to give you a little heads up that I'm going to be investigating that, and also with practical solutions on how we can address that, specifically in South Africa, because I think the US, some people are already doing this. You know, as I said, Anne van der Steel, Isaac Mars, look those two up. Incredible human beings that are very different, but bringing the same information forward in slightly different ways. There are more people in the US investigating this, and I will, for anyone that interested, I can send a link to that. But I want to basically take that information and apply it to South Africa. Although our laws are different, the principles are basically the same. So we also fall under Crown law, British law, basically. So it might differ slightly in little nuances, but it's all the same principle, honestly, and they did the same thing all over the world, basically. So yeah, I think that's going to be super interesting. I wanted to be really practical solutions on how to claim back your sovereignty, how to denounce your birth certificate, how to claim even your trust, because your trust is worth millions and millions of rands and dollars, in case you didn't know, because the government uses your birth certificate as a debt tool. So it makes money from the day that you're born, that trust. And we can claim as the beneficiary of that trust. These are exciting things, guys. And know that a lot of the judges are trained on this, and if you go into a courtroom and you start talking some of this language, they get really, really edgy and scared. I know it sounds too good to be true, but believe me, I have listened and looked at many different sources, and this is 100% legit. I'm all about giving the freedom back to the people, and I will bring you more information on that, I promise. So yeah, what else can I say? So not a bad idea in investing in some of these hot currencies, and of course gold and silver. And silver is set to increase in value tremendously. Not right now, but in a couple of months, when the financial system basically collapses, silver is going to be worth a lot. So if you can invest in silver, I would highly recommend that. I am not a financial advisor, so don't, I'm just saying, if it was me, that's the advice that I follow. And then a little bit more about Gesara and Nesara. For those who don't understand quite what it means, it may give you a little bit more detail. So basically, Nesara Gesara will be the end of all poverty, the end of all debt, the beginning of a new golden age. No poverty, no hunger, no debt, only global prosperity and peace for all. And the final wake-up call is that Nesara has merged with Gesara. So Nesara is specific to the US, and Gesara is the global version of that. So this is super excitement. The announcement of Gesara will now affect the Republic of the United States, along with the rest of the world, amounting to a total of 206 sovereign nations. I can't wait. The new financial system will be part of Gesara law. The IMF will announce the global gold standard monetary system once Gesara is announced. All remaining fiat currencies will be cashed in for gold standard currency. Paper money will eventually be phased out, and all currencies will be digital under the new financial system. The goal is to make the transition event simple, smooth, and swift. The new financial system has been online for months already. It's been created and tested in the background, this quantum financial system. And is hosted on a protected quantum server that cannot be hacked or accessed without permission. Notably, the wealth in extremists are far more likely to feel able to help their relatives, their close friends, their fellow citizens. They are more likely to engage in humanitarian efforts. This is wealth building for everyone, because everyone will have enough. No more lack, no more survival of the fittest. Wouldn't that be awesome? And for me, I can feel it in my bones, guys. If you don't believe it, and you don't believe something as incredible as such as this can really happen on this earth, I feel sorry for you. But all I can say is, instinctively, in my bones and in my heart, I'm feeling this is going to be a reality very soon. So basically, the goal is to make the transition simple, as I said, and smooth. So it might happen very, very quickly. So with that, you'll see less qualified workers in the workplace. It will then obviously lead to higher wages and salaries. That will be reflected in prices, but there is a counterbalance by a drop in taxes. In some cases, up to 80% of the final product cost price. Whew, can you imagine? I mean, these guys tax us on every single corner. They tax our income, and then when we go to a store, we get taxed again, and we're buying product that have already been taxed. So it's like triple, quadruple taxed. And these guys, I mean, I don't know how they got away with this for so long. It's really, really absurd. So ultimately, that whole process will result in deflation. But as prices drop, savings increase for the worker and their family, and that builds wealth. Energy costs too are now an important component of the cost mechanism for any product. Energy costs will also drop as a result of free energy and new technologies. Those are some of the dots and the little details that I didn't quite see a couple of weeks and months ago. So it really has helped me form a bigger picture, because everyone says, what's going to happen to inflation? So this explains some of that impact. The future will be unbelievable, complete. Our lives will evolve immensely. The cabal is on the ropes, and some of the new suppressed technologies that are being released date back 70 years or more. As I said, Tesla came up with this stuff in the early 1900s. Suppressed technology is new to us, but in reality it's very old. Some even go back millions of years, and I know this to be a fact. I've done the research, and this technology is actually not new. It's some of the simplest natural technology from this earth and the universe that have always been there. We just didn't see it, which is very sad. But anyway, this is how it goes. So, for example, the purified waters of Antarctica will be used to turn the deserts green and restore mineral life to all plants and living things. The future will be unbelievably complete with cards for our own personal credit. The application of replicators that can produce everything. And surely most importantly, a new awareness of the power of our mind. That's super exciting. In order to display our needs. And soon also available real healthcare to make people healthy instead of sick, which we know the current medical and pharmaceutical systems are ingrained to do. They keep us perpetually sick. They're not there to cure anything. I think you can agree with that. And even to reduce our age by up to 30 years. Money and banks are tools of the cabal to control us with their debt-based economy, which can never bring prosperity. It's designed like that. It's rigged. The game is rigged in their favor. Consequently, paper money and banks will eventually disappear. Coinage will not. So banks are completely going to disappear. There will be no third-party commissions and all of that. It will be direct through this quantum financial system. So if you want to pay someone, you can pay them direct and they'll see that direct. It's not going to take 2 days, 3 days. It's not going to go through the SWIFT system if it's an international transfer. There's going to be no commissions taken or fees, banking fees taken on that. It's going to be yours, your money to use as... Sorry guys, the video keeps cutting. My storage is full, as I said, so I'm going to have to wrap this up for today. But as you can see, it's a very, very complex and hefty subject, which I'll dive into much more over the coming days. I personally find it super exciting, and I'm amped to bring more of this to the people and to help you all to reclaim your freedom and your sovereignty. So expect more to come over the coming days. I hope you enjoyed the information. If you have any questions, pop them in the description below, or in the comments. And don't forget to share, to like, subscribe. That's the way that I can ensure more people can be reached with this information. Because the algorithms also, are going to be dependent on that. So I want to reach as many people as possible. So please do help to share this information and to like and subscribe, because otherwise you're not going to get any updates from me. We are in for some extraordinary times. Please stay safe. Look after yourselves. Don't get swept up in the chaos. Stay grounded. Stay centered. And I wish you all lots of love and light. And stay strong. Thanks for the Earth Tribe. Speak to you soon.